Yeah, boy. Oh, man. That's my main man, Kendrick Lamar, at the Super Bowl that we just had on Sunday. Yeah, people are still talking about it. To me, that's how you know it was notable, because people are still talking about it. They're certainly not talking about the game anymore. The game was a snooze fest. Absolute snooze fest. Like, all the hype that went into that game, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes, and oh man, all it just turned into nothing. I actually have a theory here. I know nobody will ever be able to confirm this, because the NFL is it's a cartel. It literally is a cartel. It's been sued in the past because basically the NFL has a monopoly. You know, the NFL has a monopoly, a legal monopoly, and they don't pay any taxes. But my belief is that the NFL, through their referees, somewhat rig the I'll say they put the hand on the scale to help the Kansas City Chiefs, right, get to the Super Bowl. This year, anybody who watches NFL football knows that it's just beyond possible that the Chiefs can get every single call to go in their direction. Like, there may be one or two calls every once in a while that goes against the Chiefs, but 90% of the time, the calls go in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. Just about every call. Now, how is that possible? It really isn't. But the last 2 years, the stars have aligned, and I think the NFL has aligned to make sure that the Kansas City Chiefs, their biggest star, Patrick Mahomes, since Tom Brady has retired, he's their biggest star, and the guy who's in the GOAT conversation with Tom Brady, and he's going to pass Tom Brady for the GOAT status. And you have the biggest pop star in the world, Taylor Swift, dating one of the NFL's biggest, most photogenic stars, Travis Kelce. And the last 2 years, the NFL has gotten a lot of mileage out of making sure that we see Taylor Swift as much as we possibly can. As much as possible. They can't go 5 minutes without talking about Taylor Swift. 5 minutes without talking about Taylor Swift. Like, seriously. It is beyond annoying how much the NFL invests in sort of the whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce love story, to the point where every game they have to show Taylor Swift up in the box with Travis Kelce's mom and his dad, and she's got her mom and she's got her dad, and she's with Patrick Mahomes' wife, and she's with the other players' girlfriends, and oh my God, I think the NFL has been very invested in making sure that the Kansas City Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl the last 2 years since Swift and Kelce have dated. And for the last few years, virtually every call in the NFL that could go either way goes in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's close to impossible for that to be the case without some sort of conscientious, maybe a subconscious. Maybe the referees, understand what's best for business. I don't know. But the last 2 years, the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. And we've gotten to see Taylor Swift, the world's biggest pop star, on TV, kissing her little boyfriend and all this other nonsense. She's kissing her little boyfriend, and they're making out at half field when they win. Okay, that's a boring story now. So what's best for business now? We get to see disappointed Taylor. We get to see sad Taylor. That's what's best now. Everybody's already seen happy Taylor for the last 2 years. After a while, people are sick of no drama. Everybody's sick of watching Taylor win all the time. But what does Taylor look like when she loses? Is she going to cry? Are we going to get pictures of Taylor Swift up in the booth crying for her boyfriend? We don't know. Maybe she will. And so, that's just a theory that I have, or just a belief I have, that maybe consciously or subconsciously, the NFL did everything possible to make sure the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl so that we could see Taylor Swift. And I think that once they got to the game, they took their hands off, because I think on some level, it was best for business that Kansas City loses. If they win all the time, it gets boring. People have already started to resent Patrick Mahomes. People have already started to resent Travis Kelce. Taylor Swift was booed mercilessly at the Super Bowl. Mercilessly. Now, some of that, I think, is political, MAGA, obviously people who can afford to go to see the Super Bowl, or who are willing to make the sacrifice to go see the Super Bowl, are more likely to be white males who make up 70% of MAGA, obviously. So, the overwhelming majority of MAGA people are going to be affluent white people who skew older. That's who can afford to go to the Super Bowl. So you got a bunch of 63-year-old white dudes, obviously, or 55-year-old white dudes. A lot of them are going to resent Taylor Swift and what she represents. Taylor Swift is a big liberal, big Democrat. In Tennessee, where I think she lives, if I'm not mistaken, she supported the Democratic challenger to Marsha Blackburn, who is, I believe, the governor of Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. She's either a senator or a governor. Taylor's very openly pro-abortion, pro-gay rights. And I think a lot of MAGA feel betrayed by her. Let's just be real. Taylor is the MAGA ideal. Tall, blonde, blue-eyed, white woman. Like, that is who, that is the MAGA. Taylor Swift is how all the MAGA females see themselves. And so there is a special level of hatred and disdain that the MAGA base has for Taylor, because she's a liberal, anti-Trump. There's also the fact that the NFL forces her on everybody. And I've been talking about this for the last 2 years. Because they forced her on everybody, everybody has started to resent her for that. When that's not really her fault. It's not really her fault that the NFL keeps showing her when she's in the box cheering her boyfriend on. That's not her fault. So I think on some level, Trump's in office. It's people are getting tired of Travis and Taylor. It was best for the league, for business, to see her and them sort of sad or fail. Even though Patrick Mahomes seems to either be Patrick Mahomes' wife is MAGA. I don't know if Patrick is. One of the most hilarious things is that Patrick Mahomes' father, Patrick Mahomes Sr., is one of the most straight up hood dudes you will ever see. Oh man, Patrick Mahomes Sr. is so hood. And that is hilarious that his son is like this really, I mean, that's what happens, I guess, when you know, his father was a Major League Baseball player. And he played baseball when I was a kid, I believe in the 90s and the 2000s. And Pat's mom is white. I think she's some country white woman. Not a country singer, but I think she's like from the country or something. So that's how Pat sounds. Pat doesn't sound anything like his dad. Even though if I'm not mistaken, his parents are still married. Let me see if his parents are still together. Let me see if Pat Mahomes' parents are still together. I believe I've seen them all together. I believe I do. I believe. Let me see. Let me check here. Patrick Mahomes Sr. Pat Mahomes Sr. Oh, okay. Okay, so this makes sense. Okay, so his parents are divorced. Okay, so that's why. Okay, so that. But Patrick Mahomes Sr. is very involved in his son's life because everywhere you see Patrick Mahomes Jr., you see Patrick Mahomes Sr. And Patrick Mahomes Sr. is, like I said, seems pretty hood from everything I've seen of him. When they beat, I think it was the Eagles last year, he pulled out a cigar and said, "We smoking on that Eagles pack." Oh man, that's something you got. That's deep in the woods right there. You don't just get that. Most people probably don't even get that one. But Pat, I think Pat is either MAGA or at least MAGA adjacent. But he does not make his political opinions known. His wife, on the other hand, is very much opinionated, pro-Trump white woman. She's the sort of typical American, middle American white woman who voted for Trump and supported Trump. Donald Trump is actually, specifically called out Patrick Mahomes' wife and for her support and, thanked her. And so there's always something political going on with the Super Bowl. Let me just say this before I get to this caller. A big shout out to Jalen Hurts. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. Okay? That brother, you want to talk about a brother who represents the culture well? Jalen Hurts is a brother. Congratulations to him and Saquon and all the boys for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts has a whole team of sisters working for him, his management, all these people. He keeps it in the community, very much so. And big shout out to his father, because we never give black fathers the respect they deserve. I wrote that specifically down here in my notes. Shout out to Avarian Hurts. That brother did a good job. He was Jalen Hurts' high school football coach. He raised such a respectable young man who always represents himself, represents his family, represents the black community so well. Nobody gives the father the credit for this stuff. but it matters. Black parents matters. Shout out to his mama too, but his mama wasn't his football coach. Shout out to Varian Hurts, who definitely raised a man, a legitimate black man who, like I said, represents the culture. So good for him. Probably the first time I really started to have a whole lot of respect for Jalen Hurts is when our beloved Frankie Beverly was ailing and retiring. They brought out Jalen Hurts, who's a really big fan. I've actually looked this up. He's a really big fan of old school music, really big fan of Frankie Beverly and Maze. Again, his parents raised him well. If he listening to Frankie Beverly, his parents brought him out, and he actually gifted a jersey and some other stuff. The key to the city, I believe, the key to the city of Philadelphia to Frankie Beverly. Like, you know, that was such a solid thing to do. People always talk about how young people don't have no respect and young people don't do this and young people don't have that. That is not Jalen Hurts. He was raised right. Big shout out to him. That comes from black parenting. Black parents matter. Black fathers matter specifically. Shout out to Avarian Hurts. If y'all don't give him his flowers, doggone it, I will. And shout out to Pat Mahomes Sr. too. You know, Pat Mahomes Sr., I guess, even though it looks like him and his ex-wife are divorced, he still seems to be in the picture with both of his sons, with Pat and Jackson Mahomes. And every time you see Pat Sr. making sure nobody is disrespecting his son. Black fathers matter. Black fathers matter. Let me get this caller. Thank you so much, caller, for holding on. I had to get all that out. What's up, caller?
Good evening.
What's up?
You talk about the divorce. Mother and father didn't get divorced, and both of their kids were grown. So he did raise them. And Patrick Mahomes' mama is part Jewish.
She's a Jew?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you talk about, when you were talking about the Super Bowl, I don't think it was the fact that anybody was tired of Winnie or Taylor Swift and her boyfriend. I think what the world was tired of, the United States was tired of, the cheating that went on. Because nobody got tired of Jordan winning. Nobody got back in the days because you won without the ref. That's like right now, people, the calls have changed against LeBron. At one time, you could come close to LeBron, they would call him foul or he would flop.
Oh, yeah.
And it got to the point to where even the Lakers, even before he went to the Lakers, a lot of the teams that he played for, their attention started to drop. Because people got to the point to where they were saying it don't make no sense to go to the game. We all know LeBron is going to flop. They're going to give him every call he wants. So people start scoring. I think it's the same thing that happened with Brady. Well, Brady retired, but the same thing is happening with the Chiefs. I have a cousin that was in Vegas, and he does the betting and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how different the betting was when the Chiefs played versus other teams, because they have more bets with the other teams versus the Chiefs, because everybody was going to win. So when this Super Bowl came up, nobody thought that the ref wasn't going to be on the Chiefs. Everybody figured all the Chiefs got it. But I don't know if you saw all the drama that went down about the referees being investigated, suspensions, and things like that. And I guess the NFL, just like the NBA, these are only really two sports where the refs really get into the game. Hockey, baseball, and all that. It's totally different story unless you touch the strikes and balls. And in hockey, I guess check or something like that. But when you look at basketball and baseball and football, the refs can mediate the game more. And I think that's what was happening after the game with the Bills. The drama started coming to where it is all these bet places and stuff like that. When looking, it was like, whoa, I bet this going down. And when my cousin spoke that to me, after all the investigations started happening, people started getting more confidence that, hey, the refs understand if they cheat on this game, it's gonna be held out of places where they're betting at, because you know they wanted them to replay the Chiefs Bills game, which I didn't think was ever gonna happen. So with the Super Bowl, they had to play, and the refs had to stay out of it. And Mahorn has never been sacked 7 times.
Nope.
So the refs had to let them play. And Travis, the first quarter, he went without a catch. I mean, the first half, because you had to let them play. That was just 1 or 2 calls there, but it wasn't enough to offset the game with the turnovers and things like that. So I think that's what really changed the game. I don't think it was about Taylor, because they booed her anyway.
Yeah, they booed the hell out of her.
I think it was about when you was watching basketball and football, we thought you was watching the WWE.
Yep.
Like, what's going on? And then now all of a sudden you started seeing all these things come up there, protest the Super Bowl, protest this. You started hearing from the white folks. I don't think they cared about us.
Yeah.
But when you started hearing from the white folks, they got in that huddle and was like, hey, man, we going to put out a lot of these referees that got suspended. We might see these refs back next year.
Hey, but you never know.
It's going to be to a point where this cheating stuff is everybody keeps an eye on it now.
Yep.
And it's even not just with Mahorn. It was with the other games and everything, too. So now you got to allow these people to play. And if you ever look at Lamar's games now and how much he really cried because he's not getting the calls that he was getting in the beginning, you can see that they're letting them play now. And he's getting dunked on. He's getting posterized. He's flopping. And he's not getting the calls. And he jumps up and cries. I think he's been ejected for 2 games already.
Yeah, I see that. But thank you for your call, bro.
Whining is not helping you more. No more, LeBron. The goat don't cry and whine.
Yeah. Thank you for your call, bro. Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. Because all people have been doing is crying about the refs for the last umpteen thousand years when it comes to the Chiefs. I could imagine them saying, look, the eyes are on us right now. We have to make sure this is all on the up and up. But I think, obviously, the thing that people are most talking about is the Super Bowl halftime show with Kendrick Lamar. Before I get out of here, so many people, particularly older people, because I was talking to Rev about this on Wednesday, did not understand a lot of the symbolism and what Kendrick was talking about. And I wanted to go down some of what was going on in that performance and why it was so powerful. First and foremost, Samuel L. Jackson, dressed as Uncle Sam / and Uncle Tom. Okay? You notice he says, it's your uncle, Sam. Okay? There's that duality between Uncle Sam and Uncle Tom. That's why Ralph Nader said when Obama got elected, it's up to him to decide whether he's going to be Uncle Sam or Uncle Tom. Okay? The reason he picked Sam Jackson is not just because Samuel L. Jackson is a great actor. He is. Samuel L. Jackson was a black revolutionary. He was a revolutionary when he was young. He participated in literal acts of resistance when he was in college. He shut down a whole school over segregation when he was in school. So that's why he picked Samuel L. Jackson, because Samuel L. Jackson has always been very upfront about being a very staunch black supporter. Should I say a black activist. And so that's why they got him to don the red, white, and blue and all that other stuff. You notice Sam Jackson during the performance, he steps in as Uncle Sam / Uncle Tom and says Kendrick Lamar is being too loud, too reckless, and too ghetto. These are stereotypes that are associated with black people and with hip hop. So that's what Uncle Sam was saying. He wasn't just saying that to Kendrick Lamar. He was saying that about black people in general. You're too loud, you're too ghetto, saying that about hip hop. He talks about Kendrick Lamar talks about the revolution and told the audience that the revolution is about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy. Kendrick Lamar is basically saying, if you expect me to just do your standard Super Bowl show devoid of political topic and allow you to just go back to your good old standby of pop music that helps you go to sleep and helps you not think, you picked the wrong guy. You picked the wrong guy. Now, a lot of people say that the wrong guy reference was a direct attack on Donald Trump, which I wouldn't doubt as well, because Kendrick has been very, very outspoken about his disdain for Donald Trump. Now, the set for his performance, you saw he had all black dancers spun around the field. If you noticed where they were performing, they were simulating a prison yard, representing the prison industrial complex. Yeah. So they were talking about, again, talking about America, talking about racism, talking about the injustice system that I talk about on a weekly basis on this show. It was about highlighting mass incarceration and showing how the effects of mass incarceration on black communities. Then you saw his backup dancers were dressed in red, white, and blue. And you saw that they made up the American flag. If you notice, once those dancers were dancing, they bent forward to lift their backs in the air, symbolizing that America was built on the backs of black people. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. Like, I've seen this about 3 or 4 times. You notice they stick their backs up, symbolizing that America is built on the backs of black people. And that's why before he says, before he starts Not Like Us, which is why people tuned in, people just wanted to hear him go in on Drake. And, we want to hear what he says about Drake. But he's like, I'm not going to just give you that. That's your mindless pop culture stuff. I'm going to give you a message. He raps to the dancers, 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than music. Okay, so again, that is what 40 acres and a mule is, what was promised by Sherman to legacy black Americans after the Emancipation Proclamation and after the Civil War. We were all supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. We never got it. It was canceled. Andrew Johnson, the white supremacist who followed Abraham Lincoln, canceled it. So that's why we didn't get the 40 acres and a mule. And that's what he's talking about, reparations. And then you saw Serena Williams. Serena Williams comes out to dance with Kendrick Lamar. You see she's doing a Crip Walk dance. That was the dance she was criticized for doing at Wimbledon when she won Wimbledon. A lot of people criticized and said, well, the Crips killed her sister. And I say, look, that's because you don't understand the politics of South Central LA, Compton. The Crips are more than just a gang. They're integrated into the community, just like to say the Chicago political machine was full of Richard Daley and his mafia people. Okay, these people become part integrated into the government and everything else. Okay, a Crip Walk is a lot more than just saying, I support the Crips. No, it's saying, I'm from Compton. This is my neighborhood. This is my community. Kendrick's from Compton. Serena's from Compton. Serena dated Drake. Drake was her ex-boyfriend, and Drake sent a lot of shots at Serena Williams after they broke up. And so Kendrick gave his fellow Comptonian an opportunity to essentially dance on her ex-boyfriend's metaphorical grave, while at the same time being a symbol of black power, pride, and beauty, dancing in front of a president who seems to be, at least on some level, resentful and often disdainful of those things. And you saw the Sudan Gaza protester who came out in the middle of the protest, and basically he was tackled midfield. I don't know if Kendrick saw it or not. But it was that type of situation where the type of dancers and people that he picked are people who would be resistant to the type of genocide in Gaza and Sudan that, again, the United States have helped foment. So it was a lot in a Super Bowl show. It was probably the most overt political statement ever made that I can ever think of in a venue like the Super Bowl that wasn't just some rah-rah America patriotic thing like after 9/11 when U2 performed and those groups performed and it was yay America. No, this was about reparations. This was about racism. It was about mass incarceration. It was about 40 acres and a mule. It was about it was about all of these historical injustices that America hasn't fixed yet, and it was about Kendrick Lamar basically showing resistant to the current president of the United States, who was sitting there watching all of it and has shown some resistance to, black culture and black people in general. So, my hat's off to Kendrick, the greatest rapper alive, one of the greatest rappers who ever lived. Oh man, it's almost time for me to get up on out of here. So